The greatest thing you could do for the world is to be alone. If you were to ask yourself right now, what kind of gift are you? What kind of offering are you to the world? To the people around you? To the people you love? To your family? To your friends? Are you like a Christmas sweater that nobody really wants? Okay, I'm sorry. You are lovable no matter what. The point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we try so hard to be there for others or to serve the world, and yet we have not yet even served yet ourselves. It's easiness to perceive. It's easy to look at selflessness as a virtue and selfishness as a sin. That all of our suffering comes from being selfish, and there is truth to this. The more we focus on ourselves, the more suffering we experience. And the more we focus on others, a lot of the times, the more love and joy and peace we experience. But you see, here's the problem, and that is everybody has their own psychological nonsense going on. They have their own drama, their own problems, their own trauma, their own conditioning. And when two messy people come together, they just make more of a mess. And if you yourself are a mess and you go out into the world, well then chances are you will make a mess out in the world. You see, you will always be the bottleneck to your experience. So to focus on anything other, let me be clear, to focus on anything other than healing yourself, to being free, to being at peace, to finding inner satisfaction, contentment, happiness. Until you find inner harmony, you cannot help but create a bit of suffering in the world. Now, as a human being, we will create suffering no matter what we do. The point is that the more you're distracted by the world and doing worldly things with worldly people, the more you're focused on making a mess, and the more you focus on yourself, cleaning your mind, the more you will be a clean presence for the world. Your presence alone will start cleaning up all the messes of other people. Or at the very least, people in your presence will have the opportunity to clean themselves. But you cannot take the time to brainwash yourself, to wash your brain, if you do not spend time alone. Because those who are alone reflect more. But you can't be alone and wallow in your own suffering, in your own psychological nonsense. You have to be alone and also be on a journey of healing, the spiritual journey, whatever you want to call it, the self-improvement journey. You must seek the inner harmony within you, because the more we spend time trying to do things in the world, we are creating problems as we are fixing them. It's like in Monsters, Inc. There was a janitor who was a slug, and he was mopping up the floor, mopping up the mess. And as he was mopping up the mess, he was leaving behind a trail of slime. He was cleaning up his own mess, and at the same time making a new one. And if you pay attention, whenever there's a situation that needs to be addressed, or a problem that needs to be handled, whether you are aware of yourself or aware of another person, you will see that as they try to fix the problem, they create new ones. And the problems that we create are often worse than the actual original problem. The overwhelming majority of all of our problems, all of our suffering, are self-created. And if you could just learn to get out of the way, then most of your problems would solve themselves automatically. That you don't actually have to figure anything out. The only thing that needs to be done is to seek the inner harmony, to seek the freedom, to seek peace within you, not in the world, because if you seek these things in the world, you will forever be wandering, forever be aimless. You will never find what you are looking for. I mean, think about it practically. Even if an experience happens that you enjoy, the happy chemicals are happening in here. They're not happening out there. It's just that your reaction to your experiences created the happy chemicals. Or your reaction to your experiences or your reaction to your thoughts created the unhappy chemicals. But in truth, the happy chemical machine is you. If you don't take the time to get your mind right, you unintentionally, unconsciously create suffering in the world. If you do not heal your trauma, you bleed all over people who had nothing to do with it, to do with those wounds. And then you sit here wondering why things happen to you the way they do. But we must realize that every experience is revealing something about us, about you. Every moment of our life is an opportunity to reflect, to learn, to grow, to expand. But people are too focused on the outer world, and they're distracted by all the things that are happening in their experience. I can tell you how I live my life now, and that is, I don't know anymore. Every experience that I have, I immediately and automatically reflect upon. I mean, perhaps it's a habit that I've gotten into over time, but you must understand the way I see the world. You must see through my eyes. And that is, in truth, for the most part, I only see God. So, through all my experiences, there is me and there is God. And every experience is God communicating to me, hey, look at this, or hey, look at that. And what this allows you to do is that you're no longer this person struggling with problems and dealing with things in your life, dealing with other people. All of that stuff begins to disappear. Because those who look at the world do not see God, and those who look at God do not see the world. And in doing this, all of the problems, they don't mean anything. Every moment is a opportunity for self-discovery. It's like you're reading a book, but the book is your life. We must be alone because that is where God is found. We must be alone because God is found in stillness, in silence. We must turn within. And of course, you can still find God in nature, in music, in other people, in love, in the world. But most people who live in the world are stuck in an illusion, the illusion of separation. Because when you recognize that all is one, God is the only thing that is, everything in existence is a manifestation of God, then you no longer see other people, but that there is God speaking through that person. God puts certain people into our life to reveal things about ourselves. But when we get caught taking things personal, why did this person do these things to me? Why did this happen to me? Why am I going through all of this pain and suffering? We are completely blind to the truth. We're too stuck in our own little bubbles, wallowing in our suffering. And that is how people spend their whole lives running around in circles in a hamster wheel, suffering and suffering and suffering, and that is what they call samsara. The endless cycle of death and rebirth, wandering through the desert, trying to drink the sand. Or perhaps a better analogy is trying to drink salt water. The more you drink, the more sick you get, and the more thirsty you get because the salt dehydrates you. And that is what it is like to try to find lasting satisfaction in a temporary world. Trying to engage in impulsive pleasures, trying to find love in relationships with other people, trying to find satisfaction in gathering resources and money and fame and power. None of these things are bad. None of these things are wrong. Go and be a billionaire. I don't care. It could be fun. But don't believe that it can give you anything, because it cannot. But you see how if you do not take the time to be alone and go within yourself, you live in life as a taker. You try and take things from other people, and people are naturally repulsed by that. And the biggest tragedy that we find ourselves in is those who have a good heart, who want to serve, who want to give to other people. And what happens is that they give and they give and they give, and the world takes everything from them. And they are left low and dry, empty, with no love, no happiness, no peace. And it is a tragedy because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And when things don't pan out the way we thought they would, we are left in dismay and frustration and suffering because we thought we were doing the right thing. But in truth, you cannot give unconditionally unless you are eternally fulfilled. Because if you are not eternally fulfilled, your cup will run empty. And you will grow resentful to those around you because they will not treat you the way you expect to be treated. It's like if you work hard at your job, let's say it's an office job, well then the harder you work, the more work they will give you. Whether or not they appreciate you is uncertain. They might appreciate you for the value that they get from you, but it's a transactional relationship. It's not true love. It's not true friendship. The moment you stop giving, they just throw you away. And funny enough, when you become selfish and you hold yourself in high regard, and your time is valuable and you're not easy to get, and you don't worry about other people's problems, and you don't go out of your way to try and help everybody, people come to you for help. People want your attention. People value you. Because people do not appreciate what is easy. People only appreciate that which is difficult. And you see what you find when you go into this inner journey alone, and you begin working yourself out. All of the trauma, all of the conditioning, you embark on a journey of self-discovery, and you become self-aware. You begin to love yourself more and more, and when you love yourself, you do not tolerate other people's nonsense. You will have healthy boundaries, and you can serve the world and never lose the water in your cup. But if you are not connected to the eternal wellspring within you, then your cup will continue to become dry, and you can be of no service to anybody. And when you hold your cup out to others and say, "Please, can I have some?" many of them will turn their face from you as if you had never done anything at all, as if they forgot every sacrifice you've ever made, as if it never meant a thing. And you will feel betrayed by the world, by those you thought cared about you, by those you love, all because you tried to give too much too soon. You see, life, reality is being filtered through our minds, through our bodies, and out into the world. So all of the trauma, all of the conditioning, life is being filtered through all of these things, all of the information stored in our mind and in our body. And we will experience those things in the world through the problems we attract, through the people we meet, through every experience we have. That is why everything is trying to teach us something. Maybe not consciously trying to teach us something. We can look at it that way. It's just the way it is. That life is a reflection of you. So don't for one moment waste your time trying to understand why people do the things they do, but only focus on self-discovery, becoming more aware of yourself and why the life you are experiencing is the way it is. Because it doesn't matter what you do in the world, it doesn't matter what you try and fix, it doesn't matter what fires you put out. If the problems are emerging from you, you will have a never-ending stream of problems to deal with. But the moment you stop trying to focus at the world and you focus at yourself, find inner harmony, find inner peace, heal yourself, heal your body, heal your mind, all the damage that has been done, then what you find is that you do not experience those problems anymore. But people take things personally and so are blinded from the truth. And that is why the price of ignorance is death. The only thing that is important is awareness. Because when we live in unconsciousness, when we live in illusion, when we live in darkness, we live in a world that is controlled by the forces of evil. We have fallen out of harmony. And because we lack harmony, so does our life. That is why so many problems emerge. Problems are by definition a lack of harmony. And you must know that I am living proof of what I speak about. Because I watched my life, I watched my mind go from being attached to all of these different things, to my experiences, resisting life, resisting the present moment. And I watched how much suffering I would experience on a daily basis. The problems that would arise. In truth, life was not worth living that way. But when I discovered the true nature of what I am, of what we all are, that we are the awareness behind all of our experiences, and to identify with our experiences, to identify with our mind, to identify with our thoughts or our body, it is a fatal error. And what you find is that there are no problems. There are only experiences. In fact, sometimes the problems that most people think are problems are far more interesting than the good times. That the struggle and the suffering that most people think are struggle and suffering are actually the times that make everything meaningful. That when you are starving, it is more beautiful than having an abundance of food to shove your face with all the time. That when you have no money, when you have nothing, you can appreciate a cup of water. Whereas if you have infinite abundance, you have so many things that you don't know what to appreciate, that you need more and more stimulus to feel anything. You see, even a homeless person nowadays lives a better life than a normal person in a third world country. But we become desensitized and we do not appreciate that which is easy. But when you go this journey alone, when you find yourself, when you find the peace, the joy, the love that is already within you, when you learn to be present to the moment, when you learn to be free, it doesn't matter what you experience, everything can be joyful. It doesn't matter if you're watching an action movie, a comedy, a romance, a horror movie. It's all entertainment. It's just not entertainment to those who are in the movie. It's their real life. I mean, not the actors, but the characters. And when you can approach life from this place of freedom, you do not get entangled with other people's nonsense. You do not get entangled with your problems. You do not get entangled with your thoughts. You do not get entangled with your suffering and your emotions. But you can allow reality to be as it is and enjoy the process of being alive. But so long as you go out into the world without dealing with the things that are in here, you will be stuck in an endless cycle of suffering, of trying to find happiness, of losing it, trying to find love and losing it, trying to find peace and losing it, always grasping at things, thirsty, hungry, never satisfied, when at the end of the day, everything you ever wanted was already right here. But you will not find that unless you take the time to explore yourself, to be alone and to know yourself. So don't get too caught up in the world. It's not that important yet. But use all of your experiences to reflect upon yourself. Make your primary focus of your life being in harmony, being healthy, being strong, being at peace, being happy. And what you will find is that your experiences take care of themselves. That when you are in harmony, your world is in harmony. And you can be free to enjoy life as it was meant to be enjoyed.